wasn't much festive cheer at Carrow Road on Saturday for Norwich City. Boxing Day football at Kenilworth Road. Trip down to Luton. Looking forward to it. And with that, delighted to be joined by Lewis Williams, Luton fan. To start, Lewis, there's a lot seems to have happened at Luton since the two sides met middle of October. You've only won 1 in 7. You've changed your manager as well. Probably one you didn't really want to see leave. And with that, want to just talk about Jones initially. How big a blow was that to lose him, after a relatively good start to the season?
It's a blow, but it certainly wasn't something which was a shock, in my opinion. I think it was always going to happen at some point. I don't think you do well at a club and, not get a move. He just constantly improved us year after year. So, to be fair, it was a surprise it took so long, but because of the failure at Stoke, that's probably why it took so long, because not many, Premier League clubs fought to give him a chance, but he's finally been given his opportunity to go to the Premier League, which, in my opinion, you just can't turn down. But we wish him all the best. He left the correct way this time, not the incorrect way like he did last time. But we brought in a manager who is very similar. We used data analytics to bring this man in. Edwards, I don't think was given enough time at Watford. But what he did at Forest Green and what he's done in his youth career, coaching at Wolves, and England, it gives us high hopes that, Edwards can continue what Nathan Jones did before he left.
Yeah, just touching on Rob Edwards there. You've obviously spoken about him. Only 1 game in charge so far, a defeat at Middlesbrough. But did you see any sort of drastic change in terms of playing style or sort of formations, or is he sort of going to go down a similar route to what Jones has already built?
Unfortunately for him, he's got a little bit of a hard situation at the moment, because in the summer we didn't recruit enough defenders, and we've got a little bit of an injury crisis at the back. So he's dealing with something which is kind of out of his control. So in a way, he has to really keep it the same. He can't make too many dramatic changes until the January transfer window opens to bring in more players in. So once we got those players in, that's when I can properly judge him on his style of football. But what I did see against Middlesbrough away from home was more pressing, more, going out trying to win the ball in obviously in the other team's halves a lot more than what we were doing under Nathan. So that's definitely something which I did see. But apart from that, it was very similar to what we've been playing, and at the moment that's just to be expected because of the injuries which we do have.
Yeah, since that reverse game, just 1 win in 7. Is it kind of the disruption off the pitch which has been the reason for that, or has there been sort of other issues off the pitch maybe?
It's just, like I've said, the injuries at the back, it's really cost us. When you're playing fullbacks or centre halves, it's frustrating. Our home form hasn't been the best this year. Normally it's a lot better than it has done. But to be fair, although we've had draws, and obviously, we've had this massive break because of the World Cup, there's been games this season where we definitely should have won at home, and we just haven't been able to convert those chances. Teams are just having that one chance at us, and they're scoring that only chance at goal, really. So if we can try and sort that out, being more, defensively a lot better, but unfortunately that can't happen until January, until we bring in those players in. But and start taking more chances, we will start converting wins. Like, we're only, you know what the championship's like. You win 2 or 3 games and then you're in the playoffs. That's how simple it is, unfortunately. And I do think this year it is a very poor championship. Anyone can beat anyone. The top teams are not doing as well as they thought they would. You guys would obviously know a lot more than that. So yeah, it's one of those weird situations which we're in, but time will tell. More as we didn't play Millwall on Sunday because the game got postponed because of the weather. Edwards has had another week with these group of lads to improve and get better. So I'm really looking forward to see what he can do. But yeah, it's going to take time. But we need players, and that's the real issue at the moment.
Yeah, a few ex-Norwich players in your ranks, Cameron Jerome, Henry Lansbury, but the one I kind of wanted to hone in on, Carlton Morris, scored the decisive goal in the reverse fixture. What have Luton fans made of him? 8 goals so far this season. That seems to be a fairly positive transfer.
I think the initial reaction was, I was quite excited because I definitely think there was a good player there. When you look at his career, he's had a lot of loan spells, and he just hasn't really settled at a club, and I don't think he's been at a club that's managed to get the best out of him, keep him injury-free as well. I think that's been a key factor in his career so far. And at Barnsley, I thought he showed, what he could potentially do. And there is a really good player in there. He just needs the right person. And Nathan Jones was that right person to get the best out of him. And when we signed him, we signed on a record transfer fee, for him. So for us to spend money on a player like him, it's a bold risk for Luton because we don't do that often. So the fans were like, "Oh, why are we signing someone record fee? He hasn't scored many goals in his career." And I think now we're all looking at it thinking money well spent. We're getting the best out of him. And to be fair, I really do think he's one of the top strikers in this division. If you just give him the service, give him the confidence, giving him the ability and getting the best out of him, he can score 20 goals at this level. And I do think he will do that, like come the end of the season. He's got a really good strike partnership with Adebayo next to him as well, who wins headers in the air and also very similar to him as well, in being a complete striker. So what I've seen of him is fantastic. He's proven the price, and hopefully we see more goals.
You maybe spoken about the injury issues you've had so far this season. You currently sit mid-table. You spoke about the championships. The championship, we all know what it's like. So, what are the expectations for the second half of the season at Luton? Is it maybe a playoff push, or do you think maybe mid-table this season due to the disruption?
I think we would have loved a playoff push. If Nathan Jones stayed, I would have said that was definitely possible. But because of the unknown with Edwards, we just don't know what could potentially happen. We could maybe lose a lot more from now until the end of the season because of maybe Edwards wants to change a lot of things. I think a lot of fans would be just like, all right, let's just stay up. Another season in the championship, it doesn't hurt, which it doesn't. For us, it really doesn't. We can't really progress until we get our new stadium built. So we know that, going up this year in the championship, for example, would be just a speed track to get our new stadium in a few years' time. That's what it would be. But I do think it'd probably be a top 10 finish. I really hope it is a top 10 finish. Beat some top teams in the division, but I still think maybe against the teams that are down at the bottom, we just can't grind those results out, and we may struggle a little bit. But yeah, I do. I want to say playoff push, but I reckon it's going to be top 10.
Yeah, turning the attention to the game on Boxing Day, you obviously beat us in the reverse fixture, 1-0. A little bit, obviously, a disruption off the pitch. Norwich also got a little bit of, anger towards Dean Smith at the moment. Does it feel like a good time to be playing us? It's a positive mood, maybe back amongst Luton fans?
I think this is probably the first time I've ever said this. Will probably be the best time to do the double over Norwich this season. I don't remember if Luton have ever even done that since both clubs have existed. But it's quite mad to say that this would be the first time to do the double over Norwich, considering where Norwich have been, up and down, Premier League to Championship, with the money which Norwich have got, with the players which Norwich have got. You don't have a bad squad. He's just whatever's happened with Dean Smith. I don't know why I actually thought it was a good appointment at first, but then I just don't know why he's not getting the results, not playing the right style of football. It's a bit strange, really, considering where he came from with his Brentford squad back in the day. But yeah, best time to play Norwich, in my opinion. And I do think if Luton do beat Norwich, I think that would be the last of Dean Smith, because I just don't see. I don't see him coming back from it now. Imagine losing to Luton twice. I know Norwich fans will probably. They'll look at it with a big club mentality and going, there's no way we should lose to Luton twice in a season. So I think that would be like the final straw, and that would be Dean Smith gone if Luton do win.
Yeah, it could be a really big day for Dean Smith, but just want to focus on the players as well on the pitch. Is there maybe a player in the Norwich squad that you maybe fear in terms of the Boxing Day game, and maybe who's the player to watch out for in that Luton squad? We spoke about Carlton Morris, obviously.
I don't really fear anyone from the Norwich side. I think we all know what the likes of Pookie can do, Sargent as well. The players that obviously went to the World Cup. We know what Norwich are capable of doing. You've got a good goalkeeper, you've got experience within the side. So I don't think we fear you guys. That's definitely, I wouldn't say that. But I say in terms of us, it's quite hard because we've still got players that are coming back from injury. We are literally a different side when Lansbury's in the team, for example. We are literally completely a different side. If he plays, we're just miles better. But I say Clark. Clark's definitely one player to keep an eye out. He scored a really good goal against Middlesbrough in our last game, and we signed him on a free transfer from Accrington Stanley. And when I say he's probably the best re-signing ever, I mean it. He's like the best re-signing ever. His creativity, he's brilliant. His quality, honestly, and the way he controls the game from midfield it is brilliant. He can play midfield, fullback, winger, number 10. He's brilliant at doing it. So he's definitely someone to look out for. And Alan Campbell, the guy just doesn't stop running. He'd be the man to win the ball back for us to try and go for attack. He's our other centre mid as well. So I'll definitely say those two players, and obviously Morris, which we've already talked about.
And finally, just going to put you on the spot, a score prediction for the game.
I'm gonna be boring and say 0-0. We have, obviously, with us not playing against Millwall, we're lacking, I say, match sharpness. Apparently, we are playing Arsenal in a behind closed door friendly today, which will help with the match sharpness a little bit. But because we haven't played much games, other teams have played that one extra. I think we're going to be lacking it in the sharpness, and I think we would take a draw, especially against Norwich. It's not a poor result. I think walking away without a defeat would be great. But then again, it's a night game at Luton, which we all love. The fans love a night game at Luton, and it's one of probably the hardest for any away team to come to Luton on a night game, because the atmosphere is just different. And yeah, just the conditions and everything like that. We're on top of the pitch. It gives us that little bit of an advantage, and it also will be Edwards' first game as manager. He obviously used to play for Norwich as well, so he's definitely going to want to hopefully get his first win as quick as possible.
And then finally, Lewis, just want to plug your YouTube channel. I know you've got a Luton channel.
Yeah, just Lewis Williams on YouTube. Make Luton Town content. I will be doing a Norwich match preview at some point this week, and yeah, I do the odd championship video as well.
It's great. Really appreciate your time, Lewis. With that, we'll round off the Terrace Talk for this week. Obviously, happy Christmas to everyone watching. Obviously, this will be going out just before big game on Boxing Day for Dean Smith as well. Hopefully, Norwich City can return with a win away from home.